So our very first extract that we want to update is the one that we started last time. It's page 126 in our book. If you're following along, it's our peach caramel vanilla extract, which is one of our favorites, but it's also one of the trickiest ones we make because the caramel presents such a funny thing that we've got to work through. And we'll talk about how to do that here, right?
Yeah, it's a mix between an extract and an infusion. We're adding that caramel in there. And so you've got that sugar. And so, I don't know if we can actually call it an extract / infusion, right?
We say that in our book. Like, we kind of acknowledge that some of the things we're doing are infusions, maybe emulsions. They all have their own place. And in our case, we call them all extracts because we start with the basic FDA, 1 ounce of material to every 8 ounces of 35% alcohol. When I say material, meaning ingredients. And then we adjust based on that baseline for fresh fruits and for other things. And so we get kind of a blend. So we call them all extracts because we're using the properties of extract making, but this one's like a hybrid, which is really, really fun. So
and there's so many things you can do with this one.
Totally.
And so it's just fun.
Just fun.
Okay, so the reason I want to start with this is because, you think it's really thick and solidified, but when you, kind of toggle it back and forth, you can see all of those vanilla specks, and it's pretty liquid still. But if you let this one go, this is the one that's not very forgiving. If you let this go too long, it will solidify into something like this. It almost looks like peanut butter. The caramel will soak up all of your alcohol and all of the fruit juice. And then you'll just have this glob of, looks like peanut butter.
It looks like peanut butter. And we love showing this because this is one of the early mistakes that we made. And we hold on to this jar just for that reason, that we forgot to do the change out. We were super busy at the time. It was pushed in the back of the cupboard. We didn't have really our system to organize us. And that's what happened to it.
I didn't even forget about it that much longer. It's just, it really does soak up the alcohol quite quickly. Extracts are pretty forgiving. If you don't get the, like a raspberry extract, if you do not change it out right at the right time, you're going to be okay. It's just not going to extract anymore. It's not going to ruin it. You can come in, take the raspberries out, and then if you need to put more in, you can put those in, and you'll be fine. But with this particular extract, that you don't want to forget about it because the caramel will soak up everything. And so we are in the middle of this extract. It's been going for 1 month, and we are going to I'm just using my Chemex, and I'm going to put my coffee filter in it, and I'm going to dump it all into the coffee filter. And this takes a while, so that's why we're doing it first. We're just going to dump it in here, and then we're going to move on with everything, and then we're going to check in on it ever so often so you can see kind of how it works. And we get so many emails and questions on, oh my gosh, this doesn't look right, or there isn't anything left, it's soaked everything up. And so we really want to show you kind of see how thick that kind of looks. It takes time for it to kind of go in and separate through the filter. When you're finished, it looks like this.
So we'll do the close-up of the cam there, just so you can see it. But this is what the final one.
How beautiful is that amber color? So when you're finished, and that means through this next step that we're going to do, we're going to let this go, and it's going to filter out, and then we're going to put another 4 ounces in. The reason I'm filtering it now,
4 ounces of peaches, right?
Sorry, yes,
yep.
4 ounces of peaches. The reason why I don't just take the peaches out and put it back in with the caramel in there is that it really will soak up more alcohol than I want it to. And it's really very sweet right now. And so I think I'm good on the caramel side. I need to add a little more peach flavor and then let that vanilla catch up. And so that's kind of where we're at this point. So we're going to just...
So this is, and just to clarify, this is a change out that we're doing. It's not going to be done when we finish letting it filter right here. This is just sort of the halfway point. Not even the halfway point, because we've got to let the vanilla come forward after that. So if you'll recall, we started with Everclear, 195 proof. We added the 8 ounces of fresh peaches. Now we're going to add the 4 ounces of fresh peaches. We've already done the math where that gets us with the moisture content of the fresh peaches. That gets us down to just right above 35% alcohol. It's like 37.5 based on the moisture content of the peaches. And then it'll be done. So we're going to add even more peach fluid to this when we're done. The step calls for the removal of the caramel for all the reasons that Jill just said. And you can kind of see, if you show underneath here, because we want to show this. This is sort of a behind the curtain of this beautiful finished extract. But you see like these clumps of caramel that haven't fully dissolved yet right here and in other places. We're going to take all those out. So we think it's time to get rid of the caramel. Plenty of it has been infused. And so now all that's left over, we're getting rid of it. The only thing going back in are the peaches, or excuse the fresh peaches and the vanilla beans.
For
right?
1 more month.
For 1 more month. And so some of that obviously is peaches that have like stuck to some of the caramel. There's clumps. It's a real funny looking one. And that's why we're spending so much time on this phase, because, and you can see it all draining. I wish we could put the camera sideways, but it's starting to fill up. But you can see it in the video there, but it's starting to fill up with this clear fluid, which is lovely. But it just takes time. How long were you going to leave this one?
It's going to take hours. Yeah, but we just want you to see how it looks, the consistency of it. If it is this thick, you're going to be okay.
You're going to be okay. Just let it drain. And then you're going to add more peach juice when we do the second change out. So it's going to become even more. There's going to be more liquid that's being added. Your alcohol content's going to be right on. And it's going to allow those vanilla beans to continue extracting for another 6 months to get to that perfect blend of peach and vanilla. So this is a complicated one that is a really fun one. It was fun for us to make. We've learned a lot as we've kind of gone through. But you can see it's doing its thing right now. So we're just going to set it aside.
And over time, when this starts to come down a little bit, I can remove some of this. I'll put some of the vanilla back in, and I'll get rid of some of the caramel. I'll start seeing the different pieces. It'll make it a little bit easier. But I just don't mess with it much until it kind of settles and lets me see what everything is and what I need to get rid of and what I need to put back in.
There you go. So there we go.
I'm going to just put this over here for now.
So we're going to put a comma right here, and we're going to come back to this at the end of the show. I keep calling it the show. The end of the workshop. Like this is a show. Woohoo! At the end of our workshop, we'll come back to it. We'll touch it up. We'll kind of hurry it along a little bit because it's not going to be done dripping, but we're going to go ahead and add the fresh peaches into the final
we'll add the fresh peaches into the bottle. I'm not going to clean out. I mean, you could clean out the jar if you want. But you're going to have to filter it 1 more time if you want it to be as clear as the end product that I just showed you. You're going to have to do a second filtering. Anytime you want your extracts to be this clear, you need to use a coffee filter.
Yeah.
Because
can't use a cheesecloth for this one.
And you can't use just a sieve.
A strainer.
Yeah.
Strainers aren't going to work on this one if you want it to be clear.
Yeah.
If you want all the little oils and little specks and little pieces, then as long as you like the taste, it's fine. But we like this one, especially as a gift. When you give it like that, it's just this beautiful, and the smell is amazing. It's peach vanilla.
It's so
that
sweet.
Caramel undertone, which is really fun. So we like getting as much of the caramel out as we can, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, nobody wants it. You don't want to see any of that milky looking color in your extracts, right? That's not appealing.
Yeah. Because the gift matters, right? The way that it looks. Okay, so we're going to put a comma right there. Okay.
Yep.
So on our peach caramel vanilla, we're going to come back to that at the end of the workshop to finish adding the peaches. But we're just going to let it keep dripping, and you guys will be able to sort of watch. Let me see if I can scoot it back a little bit. But you'll kind of, might be kind of tricky. I don't know that we're going to get it in the video. There it is. You can sort of watch it dripping, and it'll just kind of slowly fill through the course of our workshop today. But it's doing its job. It's doing what it's supposed to do.
Let's take a look at our
how's it coming along?
No, can you kind of see there's some stuff at the bottom there, and it's completely and totally clear.
Yeah.
And I'll probably pick at it a little bit to get some of this off so it will go down into the filter. Sometimes I have put a new filter in if it feels like, there's it's not going through very well. After a while, I'll dump it out, what's left, and I'll put a new filter in and see if I can get it to go a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
I don't have to do that all the time, but sometimes it helps.
Well, and the other on this one, it was the reason we settled on the Chemex is we tried regular coffee filter. We tried open neck like in a mason jar. And if you don't have that bottleneck, it can fall through, right, over time. And so the Chemex is really nice because it forces it down into that small neck. And so
it's convenient.
That's important too.
And it just sits there, and actually it holds the whole bottle in there. And so I'm busy doing all my other things, and I check on it ever so often, and then I'll get more stuff out as I see it kind of recede down. And it's just I'm always looking in my cupboards to figure out what can make this easier, and I usually don't buy new stuff.
Okay, so let's we'll put a comma there. We'll go back to where we began. And I don't know if we're going to be ready to add more peaches at this point.
We're not, but
we'll show everyone.
See that it has receded a little bit, so I can see a little bit more of my where my vanilla is. And I just want to move things around here so you can kind of see what it all looks like when you're going to be done with the caramel.
So you can point to the lines where the fluid started at the start versus where it is now. You can see it's gone down, and then we can look at the bottom of the jar. We've got, I don't know, maybe a fourth of what we're looking for that has come through. So it's still some more time that we're going to let this thing drip and drip and drip.
And I'm not worried about getting all of this off because I am going to filter it one more time. So I'm just putting the vanilla beans back in. But the good portion of the caramel squares that are still kind of solidified and absorbent, I want to get rid of those because I don't want to lose any more of my alcohol and fruit juice in here.
Yep. So really this first step is all about removing the clumps, getting the big pieces of caramel, removing all the old peaches, and you've got big chunks of peaches and caramel in there together. There's a good example as you're moving it, right?
And I can just put this in another bowl so I can open up more surface area for the filter to drain. Now that I can kind of see the difference between everything, I can kind of just play with it and then squeeze out some more liquid out of some of the peaches and the caramel here.
And even as you're doing this, the drips have kind of turned into a stream as we're sort of freeing up the fluid and letting it get further down.
Yep.
So now it's like streaming instead of just like a slow drip. And then we can muddle if we want to muddle all the moisture out of the peaches that you're pulling out, right? The clumps.
Yeah.
But we're going to let this keep dripping and dripping and dripping for a few more hours.
Yeah, it takes a while. If you want, you can always put a fresh filter in. Sometimes that helps things go a little bit faster, but it's not necessary. And then again, you're going to add in your fresh peaches. 4 ounces. I'm just going to put that in right now with my vanilla. And then I'm going to put the jar on. Whoops, just like throwing peaches everywhere.
I love those pinchers, the tweezers.
Pinchers.
Pinchers. You know what I was thinking of? Chopsticks. I'm like, that's like chopstick cheating. Next time we have sushi, I'm just going to get those out. Even I can use those. Exactly. That totally worked, right?
He's proficient in chopsticks. Don't listen to him. Okay, I want you to see just the bottom. Now I can kind of tilt it. There isn't a ton down there. We still have a lot to go. Can you see that?
We'll switch to the extract cam here. There we go.
See, there's still quite a bit in there. I'm going to let it go a little bit longer, maybe switch out this filter, and then I'm also going to push down on some of this peaches, the caramel that I removed. So I'll definitely be short than what, on the 8 ounces. I'm not going to be, because so much was absorbed into the peaches and the caramel. I'll be a little short. But that's okay. I'm not going to add any at this point because this doesn't go for 12 months.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then with the added moisture from the peaches that we just put in, it'll all kind of filter out and we'll have even more and we'll get to our final. So we're going to let this do its thing and then we'll show you what it looked like at the start of the next workshop. We'll show you kind of how it all finished out. But really the point that we wanted to show is just the slow go on this. It takes a minute. the caramel kind of gets in the way a little bit. Let it drip, 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 and then you'll get that finished extract that is lovely.
That looks like this.
Yep.
And this is a little less than 8 ounces is what's in this
Yeah.
bottle here.
Okay, there we go. That doesn't look very appealing. If you just started the show and looked at that, you'd be like, what are they making here? Well, we're like, that's gruel.
This is the one extract that we get lots and lots of questions on. You guys know in the group, we get questions, we get emails, we get all kinds of, you know, like, this is gross looking. Is this right? You know, they'll send us pictures. We're like, you're good.
You're
Everything's
good.
gonna be just fine.
Yep, it's a fun one. So we'll put a comma there. We're going to let this go on our counter for a couple more hours. We'll have the update in our next workshop where we'll come in and we'll do that last change out where we put it through the filter one last time, get out the last peaches and clear out all of that last caramel, right?
Well, and next month we'll have all 3 peach extracts to finish out and get the last of the peaches out. So we'll be visiting peaches when